Try to join. Are we muted or something? Hello, good evening, founders. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yes. Welcome to today's session. I am very excited to be here today because we have a lot of legal partners today that will put you through all the stress of incorporating your company and any legal issue that you may have today. We have Davidson Oturu. Davidson, are you around? Yes. We have Davidson Oturu, where we have Ifeyinwa, and we have other partners around. So today, Davidson, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Good evening. How are you doing?
Yes, we are doing very well. So we have Davidson in the house today. So Davidson is the partner at Aelex, right? So Aelex is a full service dispute resolution and full-fledged company. They have, is a legal firm, and they have a presence in Ghana and Nigeria. We are excited to have you today, Davidson. We also...
I'm excited to be here too.
Yes, so we also have Ifeyinwa. Ifeyinwa, can you hear us? And please, if you are not speaking, please, you mute your mic. And also, make sure that you join the meeting using your name. If you have your name as something else, maybe iPhone or something, please put that on the rename yourself to your real name so that we can identify you. We have Ifeyinwa from Benchmac and Inc. Ifeyinwa, are you with us? Okay. All right. So she's still trying to join us. So please, Davidson Oturu, can you introduce yourself? Tell us about Aelex and tell us what you do, right?
All right. Thank you. Be here. Great seeing you guys. So my name is Davidson Oturu. I'm a partner of this law firm. We have different offices in Nigeria. So we have offices in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, as well as Accra, Ghana. We're a firm of about 70 lawyers and 11 partners. So we have different specialties and practice areas. We have guys that do oil and gas, energy, and all the other interesting things that people do. But for me personally, as a partner, my practice areas are specialized in intellectual property. So I belong to quite a lot of international bodies that deal with the protection and enforcement of intellectual property, involved in technology, media and telecommunication, a lot of government bodies too that I serve in some form of advice advisory capacity in terms of coming up with policies for things around crowdfunding, blockchain technology, payment systems, and stuff along those lines. I've been working with the Securities and Exchange Commission on that. So we have the history of working with startups and businesses that are looking to scale, looking at raising funds, taking them through the whole steps of how to store their term sheets, how to look for the best along the issues around share subscription agreements and all the other matters that arise. We also help them, we see them through different stages from Series A, Series B, and all that. So I think that's it in a nutshell. Of course, there's a lot more, but there's no need in taking up time. Our profile will speak for itself. I'm happy to be partnering with the Founders Institute, along with other bringing value, assisting you along the way. So, thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. We also have Ifeyinwa Ufondu. Ifeyinwa, are you with us? Ifeyinwa Ufondu from Benchmac and Inc. Okay. Yes, so she's trying to join. It's like she's having issues. She's having some technical difficulties. Okay, yes. So today we'll be discussing about legal issues and IP protection, legal and all other issues that relates to tax and all of, and yes, IP and legal terms, right? So we would like to, before that, our founders will talk about what they are building. They will pitch in 1 minute, right? So the task is for you to listen to what they have pitched and see and give them feedback about what they are working on, right? So we have Khalil Halilu in the house today.
Ifeyinwa is back.
Oh, okay, okay. Ifeyinwa, please, could you quickly tell us about yourself and what you do at Benchmac and Inc?
How do you start?
Yeah, I think she's still having some difficulties connecting, right? So while we wait, let's proceed so that we will spend less than 2 hours today, right? So, Davidson, about 8 founders will pitch to you now. You give them a very short feedback, right? And grade them from 1 to 5. There is no 3. You can grade 1, you can grade 2, you can grade 4 or 5. 5 means excellent. 1 means okay, you can go on, but you really need to do a lot of work for this company to succeed and all that, right? I will privately share the link you use to grade each founder that will pitch here today, right? So please quickly, we'll share with you privately. So the first person that will pitch today is Khalil Halilu. So you pitch,
Right.
Yes, a minute, 1 minute, right? Please share the, yeah.
All right, let me know when to proceed and if I'm audible.
Your voice is still breaking. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, yes, perfect, perfect. Yes, you can start. You have a minute to say what you are working on.
Everyone, my name is Khalil Halilu. Nigeria has a 250 billion naira logistic market that is inefficient and largely underserved. My startup SharpSharp is solving this problem through its delivery marketplace by assigning riders in just 5 minutes to deliver within the hour. SharpSharp has recorded 18,000 deliveries to mainly SME and grocery vendors through optimized order system via mobile app. The quick service food market is valued at 1 trillion naira and it is our focal market for deliveries. Thank you.
Could you quickly give a rating out of 5 and give a short feedback?
Well, that was very quick. And it seemed less than one minute. Was I think they mentioned quick or something along those lines. He mentioned that he has riders and they deliver to different parts, but I didn't get the market, the total addressable market in terms of where he wants to be. So are you going to be, what city are you looking at? Nigeria is a very big market. So are you looking at a particular place? Oh, sorry, am I supposed to say this or just give a mark?
Yes, so let me quickly highlight something. So when you are judging these founders, what we should be looking at is, did they explicitly talk about what they are building? Did you understand exactly what they are working on? Number one, did they talk about the market size, right? That's number 2. Did they talk about any ask? What are they asking for? That's number 3. If there is any validation, other market validation or customer validations they've done, did they talk about it? That's number 4. So these are some of the key things you need to look out for. And finally, you try to see if they are the right person to solve that problem, right? Probably you can check that by looking at their skill or their experience or all other metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. So please, what rating are you giving Halil out of 5? No 3.
Did you say no 3?
Yes, no 3. 1, 2, 4, and 5. No 3.
That's savage. Well, I'll give him a 2, and not for want of trying, but just like I said, I didn't really get the issues around the particular market that he was trying to address, and again, I didn't see how he would fill that void with the service he provides, and I didn't know what he needed in order to do that. Maybe because it seemed more like a 30-second speech, so it was over before it even started. So, if you have a minute, try and put in the major things that will sell. That's my take. So I would have given him a 3, but since 3 has been removed, I'm constrained.
Okay, thank you so much for your feedback. Ifeyinwa, are you with us now? I think Ifeyinwa is still having difficulties connecting. Okay, so the next person to pitch is Adama Abdullahi.
I think you need to unmute her, Kristen. Please, you guys should unmute her and talk.
Okay.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yes, we can hear you.
I probably missed the first presentation, so I didn't know what you presented. I didn't get to hear.
Okay, so the first thing is, please tell us about yourself. What is Benchmac about? What is this Benchmac and Inc. all about, right? You tell us what you do, and that's it.
My name is Ifeyinwa Ufondu. I'm here for Benchmac. Benchmac and Inc. is a full service law firm with offices in Abuja and in Lagos. We provide legal services and the law firm are Civil services are structured along three lines to provide public services, intellectual property, and then TPT, basically. So Benchmac and Ince particularly interested in small businesses in Nigeria. And we've worked with the founders in the last session, and this is the second time we worked with the founders. So we are happy to be working with this section.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today. But the mic, please, could you come closer to the mic? We cannot hear you clearly, right? Okay, yes. So thank you so much for joining us today. So what you do is this: our founders will tell you about their idea, right? So the task is you have to give them a rating and a feedback. The rating is from 1 to 5, but there is no 3, right? So some of the metrics you should be looking out for when these founders are pitching is, number 1, they should clearly state the problem and the solution that they are working on, right? They should also demonstrate that they are the right person to solve this problem. That is 2. Then the next one is they should talk about the market, right? And if there is any market or customer validations they've done, they should highlight that as well. Then they should ask for something, right? There should be an ask. It can be money, it can be mentorship, it can be anything. So these are some of the things that you need to look out for when you are giving them a rating. Yes. So the next person that will pitch now is Adama Abdullahi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adama, and I have over 10 years experience working in the energy industry. My company, Farm Seychelles, is a renewable energy food processing company. We are currently developing a platform for agribusinesses and food processors to process more efficiently and sustainably, establish reputable and qualitative food brands, synergize and reach their export potential. NBS and SMEDA statistics has estimated that there are over 73,000 SMEs in Nigeria, 10% of which are agribusinesses and food processors. We're targeting 5% of that figure, which is over 350 budding entrepreneurs in the next central. We plan to capture 70 to 80 entrepreneurs in the first 18 months of operations, and revenue will be generated from both services rendered and the excess energy generated from the mini grid. Our ask is $50,000 for expansion of our facility and to put in place the solar processing and packaging infrastructure to be able to serve our customers more efficiently. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Mr. Davidson.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, I actually liked Adama's speech. So she did attend to a few things. She identified the problem. She highlighted her target market. She did mention what she wanted. So she raised the issue of her financials. There was that was mixed up in a few things, but I do understand because of time. So in terms of expanding on the solution itself, I didn't really hear how the solution would come, but I heard a few things around solar, which is good enough for an elevator pitch to make me interested in knowing a little bit more. I didn't hear anything on the competition in terms of who the competitors are in that market, which is what I would usually be looking for in a pitch deck, but I liked it. So I will be giving her a 4.
Okay, thank you so much. Mrs. Ifeyinwa.
Your presentation was good. I just wanted to find out currently how are you producing, how are you doing in the market and in the business?
They don't to open that link, they will see it.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I didn't get the question.
Yes, please, could you come closer to your mic? We are finding it difficult hearing you clearly, right?
using two devices, phone and your laptop. If you're using both, everything.
It's just a laptop. I've signed out. This is desktop now. I've signed out of the laptop. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but the voice is still very faint. Like, yes, it's very low, exactly. Try to fix that. Let's quickly move. Yes, I think let's quickly move to the next pitch. I believe we'll fix that before by the next pitch. So the next person is Oturu. Oturu.
Have you heard? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi. Have you ever come across a situation when someone is sick and he doesn't know what to do, which doctor or hospital to go? My name is and I am the founder of Surgeon.com with over 10 years of healthcare experience. Surgeon.com connects patients to the right healthcare providers from the comfort of their homes in the most effective way. Our team includes 2 co-founders and 5 full-time employees. Our partners include all the major hospitals and labs in Abuja. Nigerian healthcare size is $15 billion and growing at the rate of 8%. Surgeon is targeting just 10% of it, that is $1.5 billion. Our revenue generating model is transactional. We charge 50% from the service providers for using our platform, but it's free for the customers. In the last 3 weeks of launch, we have generated more than 1.5 million naira in revenues. We are looking forward to a funding of $500,000 to further expand to other cities in Nigeria. So for an investor, let's talk. Thank you so much.
Okay, that is okay. Mr. Davidson.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you, Sudhir. I did enjoy your pitch. Like, typically, there are probably like 11 things that I look for in a pitch deck, and I was able to identify some from you. You set out what appeared to be your vision, right? Which for me is usually the first thing anyway that I would look for in a pitch. You mentioned your team members, which is something good as well. You looked at your target market. You mentioned the issue around your revenue model, but it didn't come across as being very clear to me. This is me now, it's no, yeah, it doesn't mean that you didn't raise that. You didn't tell me what it seemed like you wanted from me was for me to patronize you, right? I don't know whether you are trying to sell to me so that I will invest in your business. It seemed more like you were letting me know that this is your business and this is how you're operating. So, maybe I can come over and see how things are in your business. There was mention on competition. Of course, since you didn't mention what you needed from me, so there was no mention around investment and use of funds. I didn't really hear much on traction.
I have
that your model related. So you said all that.
The traction was there, the investment requirement was there, everything was said. Maybe
how much is the investment requirement?
For traction, I said since last 3 weeks we have generated a revenue of 1.5 million naira in last 3 weeks. Okay, that is traction, and then we are requiring $500,000 to expand to other cities in Nigeria. So that
you said at about $1 million.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Maybe some of it was lost on me. My apologies.
Wow. Because of the network, maybe.
Okay, so what's rating? What will you rate him?
Would you want him to pitch again since you didn't hear him well? and just ask for him to be more
Perhaps,
audible.
yeah.
I think that should be.
Yeah, that may help really, because I sort of lost part of that. And from what he said, maybe some of the issues I raised were covered there. So if you guys are fine, he can pitch again.
Yes.
My apologies, please.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, okay. So, hi, have you ever come across a situation when someone is sick and he doesn't know what to do, which doctor or hospital to go? Well, my name is Sudhir Singh Rathor, and I'm the founder of Surgeon.com with over 10 years of healthcare experience in Nigeria. Surgeon.com connects patients to the right healthcare providers from the comfort of their homes in the most effective way. Our team includes 2 co-founders and 5 full-time employees. Our partners include all the major hospitals and labs in Abuja. Nigerian healthcare market size is $15 billion and growing at the rate of 8%. Surgeon is targeting just 10% of it, that is $1.5 billion. Our revenue generation model is transactional, and we charge 15% from the service providers for using our platform, but it's free for the customers. In last 3 weeks of our launch, we have generated more than 1.5 million naira in revenues. We are looking for a funding of $500,000 to further expand to other cities and build assets. So if you are an investor, let's talk. Thank you so much.
All right, so yeah, I heard it this time around. But how does your platform work?
Yeah, it works by connecting the patients. The patient sends us queries through either they call. We have a call center wherein we receive the queries either through email or when the customer registered with us, or they can call us. So all the modes of communication is available for them, and then we connect with them to the hospitals. If it is a surgical query, if they want to connect with the labs, we can send our phlebotomists to their houses to collect the samples and transport it to the labs and generate the report on their dashboard. So that is then, in case if a person wants urgent ambulance, then we, through our partners, we arrange the ambulance within 5 to 10 minutes time. But all the services are available in Abuja. So that's how it is.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, again, apologies for the first time around that I didn't hear what you said. And of course, it's difficult under 1 minute to cover practically everything that I would be looking for in a pitch deck. But I'll give you a 4. 4, of course, your platform requires a lot of explanation, which 1 minute cannot afford you the opportunity to do that. I would say maybe you can incorporate into your pitch. I don't know how you will do it, but just something that will really raise the interest around your platform. So if it's to use certain words like, your unique platform that incorporates, you just maybe with 10 seconds state some things that incorporates how the platform works. But I would give him a 4.
Okay, that's great. Mrs. Ifeyinwa, are you with us? Are you back?
I can't see her, but if it would have been possible for her to be dropping her comments, that could have also worked as well.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Okay, yes. So the next person is Sheneni Tukura. Hello, Sheneni.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, that's great. You have a minute to talk about your business to the mentor.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Sheneni Tukura, and I'm here to talk to you about Do Work. Now, over the years working remotely as a network engineer, a digital marketer, and a business developer, I've encountered some problems around accountability, productivity, and time management. Now, I ran a survey to check if other people had these problems working remotely, and it turns out they did. Now, this led to the development of Do Work, which is a mobile application that helps employers of labor manage their employees who work remotely. This happens by using deadlines to make sure that people are productive and make sure that they keep to their time, as well as using a virtual assistant to make sure that they manage their time and their tasks properly. Now, the total accessible market, which is the productivity market, is $106 billion. And we plan to affect just 1% of that market, which is the sub-Saharan African market, through a subscription-based revenue model. So far, we are looking for funding for because we're in the ideation stage, to move to an MVP stage and also show our potential customers what we plan to do. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. But please, whenever you are teaching, be mindful of this time limit, right? We said 1 minute. So always be sure to limit your pitch to 1 minute. It is very important, right? So please, Mr. Davidson, could you give him a written and a feedback? Are we muted? Okay.
So sorry. So I don't know if it was just me, but it sounded quite low. You know, so maybe the first 20 seconds I was struggling to hear, and I wasn't sure it was my volume.
Yes. So the issue,
again, if I may.
I could not hear you clearly as well. So please, Cheneni, could you come closer to your mic and pitch again? And please, if you are not pitching, please mute your mic if you are not pitching, right? We can see a lot of people that are not pitching, but their mic is on. Please mute, put it on mute. So, Cheneni, could you pitch in 1 minute again?
All right. Am I very clear now?
Mr. Davidson, can you hear him clearly?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You can go on.
My name is Sheneni Tukura, and I'm here to talk to you about DoWork. Over the years, working remotely, I've encountered some problems working as a digital marketer, as a network engineer, and also as a business developer. So the problems are always centered around accountability, productivity, and time management working remotely. And I actually ran a survey to check if other people experienced the same problems I did, and it turns out they also did as well. Now, this led to the idea of DoWork, which is a mobile application that helps employers of labor properly manage their employees who work remotely, using a time-measured system to effect deadlines and ensure productivity, and using a virtual assistant to help ease into the remote working lifestyle to help with your time and your tasks. Now, with the total addressable market of $106 billion, we actually plan to reach the sub-Saharan African market, which is 1% of that, with a subscription revenue-based model. Our ask right now is funding for development and also to push our platform to the MVP stage.
Okay. All right, Mr. Davidson.
Okay, thank you, Sheneni. I actually enjoyed your pitch. Very importantly, you identified the problem which you sought, and for where we are now, you know, working remotely and wondering what your folks are doing is something that almost every employer is worried about, and you came up with a solution for that. I wasn't so sure about your total addressable market and $106 billion, because that was a bit, I don't know if it was dollars you wanted to say or something, but that sort of threw me off. I don't know what your competitors are doing, because perhaps there was no need to address that, but it will be good to know what your competitors are up to. You did say how much you wanted and what you intended to use it for. Of course, I don't know, have you launched yet, or you're still looking at the whole situation? This is at an ideation stage, right?
Yes, ideation stage. I'm shedding you. We cannot hear you, right?
Sorry,
Okay,
can
so
you hear me now?
yes, we can hear you. So he asked if you are still at the ideation stage or is it a working product?
Yes, it's still at the ideation stage.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is why the ask came out like that.
Okay.
Okay, so what rating would you give him?
I'm trying to be really fair with my ratings, but and okay, I'll give me 2. I'll give me 2.
Yes, so Chanel, just a quick one. So we've given you an assignment where the task is to talk about your market, maybe like to research about your market, research about the cost involved to acquire either a customer or to develop your MVP. I'm sure we've given you this before. So you should be able to know exactly how much you want. Yes, you are at the idea stage, but you've passed the level of not knowing exactly how much you want to get what you want at this stage. So please still go back. Try to know about your numbers and figures. It is very important. Okay? All right. Yes, so Mrs. Ifeyinwa, have you been able to fix the audio? Okay, she's still having difficulties. Please, can we see the list? Oh, yes. So the next person is Sarat Miller. This is Sarat Miller.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, good evening. My name is Sarah Miller. I am the founder of Heal in Nature. I am a woman born with the sickle cell disease, and through the years, I've been able to grow from being sickly to healthy by building on wellness. Due to the challenges faced by the Nigerian health sector, my company came up with a health solution for women, which is easily accessible. This is to help them adopt a healthier and more sustainable lifestyle using planned regimen of therapies, health supplements, and automated routine checks, which helps to keep their body in a healthy state and their minds in good and clear shape. Our services are accessible at the convenience of their homes. We have been able to acquire over 132 paying users of this solution. Presently, we service less than 1% of the market share because we're a new startup. We have other competitors that have been in existence for long. So myself and my team have come together to project value and grow the market using social media, word of mouth, collaborating with corporate organizations, and leveraging on women platform.
Okay.
It has been reported that.
I'm sorry, your time is up. But let me just give you a quick feedback before Mr. Davidson, right? So we started with, from the first week, there are some key indicators that we are looking at for in your business, right? And you should always be mindful of that. Number one is you talk about yourself. Yes, we know. You talk about the problem and solution. Yes. The next thing you should talk about is the market, right? Then you talk about if there is any validation you've made, either customer or market validation. You talk about it. Then you talk about the ask. You don't have the whole time to talk about all this. Always keep in mind that when it's 1 minute pitch, this is only thing you should talk about, right? You don't have the whole time. You spent more than almost 1 hour, 30 minutes now. I mean, 1 minute and 30 seconds. So please scale it down and make sure you keep to that time. And you should be able to communicate all these indicators within that 1 minute, okay? All right, please, Mr. Davidson, please, could you give him a feedback? Give her a feedback and a rating.
All right, thank you. Actually, I enjoyed Sarati. It was quite engaging. Of course, like we said, the time is not enough. So, I mean, it is almost like an elevator pitch. You know, most times when you ride an elevator, you're probably riding it for about 1 minute. So within that period, when we're stepping out of the elevator, I should be sold well enough that I'll be willing to patronize you. But what I did get out of it was there was, of course, very good. She gave the background as to why she's into this. You know, from sickly to healthy. You know, she was she had sickle cell, and she's been able to. And then the health sector, you know, is not good enough to solve most of these issues. So that's the problem. And the solution that she identified was a plant regime and supplements and being in a healthy state. And then she did mention the traction she's beginning to gain. She mentioned marketing and sales strategy, which is around social media and women platforms. But very important in any pitch, what do you want from the investor? We were not able to get there. And so we would have stepped out of the elevator before you would have gotten there. You know, so because of that and maybe 2 or 3 other things, I wasn't able to get issues around your, yeah, I'll probably give it 2. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
So Ifeyinwa also gave a 2, rated her 2 as well, right? So she could not, yes, so she did not talk about her market. This is feedback from Mrs. Ifeyinwa. She did not, Saratu did not talk about your market and what you've achieved. That is any validation or any tractions you've gained, which you've discussed about. So since you did not talk about, she rated you a 2. So it's very important to talk about all this while pitching. Talk about yourself and your experience or your skill. You talk about the problem and solution and any unique value proposition. You talk about the market. Then you talk about any validations you've done. And you ask. That's all what we need from you in this 1 minute. So always take note of that. The next person is Okwa Eta. Okwa Eta, are you with us? Hello, Okwa Eta. Okay, so the next person is Ince Udoma.
So, how many in total are we looking at?
We are looking at 5 more pitches. 5 more pitch, right? Like, yes, 5. Okay, so Okwaeta is not around now. The next person is Ince Udoma.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ince Udoma. I'm the founder of Sendit.ng. My background and experience, I have 5+ years of experience within the energy industry. And Sendit.ng is an app technology for logistics solutions. So what the app is all about is providing an aggregator space where we tend to aggregate dispatch bikes and connect them to e-commerce and online retail stores. So presently in Lagos, we have over 10,000 dispatch bikes in Lagos, and most of the time, these guys do not have technology to connect them to the customers that actually need them instantly and for instant delivery. So the app technology provides an Uber-like system where you, with the click of a button in 2 minutes, you have a bike guy come to you to pick up your parcel and it's delivered. And on the app, you can track it, you can make payments on the app because we are partnered with a particular fintech company. The market size as of today for logistics in Nigeria is about $600 million. And presently, the e-commerce spend in Nigeria is about $100 billion. So we are asking for $200,000 to be able to acquire customers and to be able to develop a market entrance strategy. I have a team of 4, where myself, my co-founder, and 3 other software engineers as it is today. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, Davidson, Mr. Davidson.
Okay, so the first thing that I would say is that he did identify, he mentioned something that sounded like a problem, but to me didn't sound strong enough for the solution that was being provided. That's me anyway. But the service he intends to bring sounds good, but I didn't feel that the problem was strong enough for me to want to invest in the kind of solution that is being recommended. Even though market size was mentioned on e-commerce and all that, but it didn't speak to the target market in itself. So you can't have all that market. You know, it is not going to be available for you to this totality. So you need to be able to find the market that you have built down on, and you say that this is the market that you will be attending to. I didn't hear that there wasn't much around competition. So I don't know if there are competitors out there, or if you're the only one who has come up with this idea, and how, if competitors exist, what you'll be able to do that makes yours to stand out. There was nothing on traction and validation. I wasn't sure. Well, I did hear that you have about 10,000 riders, but I didn't hear something really peculiar around your marketing and sales strategy that would make you stand out. So for these, I'll give you a 2.
Okay, thank you so much. So these are found that maybe there are some key indicators that we are looking at for now. Yes, we know it's very important to talk about some sales strategy and marketing strategy and probably competition. But at this stage, we are limiting it to only them talking about themselves, talking about the problem and solution, talking about the market size, right? Talking about maybe any validation, market validation or customer validation they've done and ask. That's the.
So do they just mention the market size in itself?
And the addressable market size, the one they can address, as you mentioned, yeah. So they should, out of the whole market, there is a total addressable market that they are targeting. So it's very important that they mention that. Yes.
All right.
Okay, so Okwa Eta, are you around now? If you are around, please unmute yourself and so that you present. Okwa Eta.
Ifeyinwa giving her feedback.
Okay, it seems, Ifeyinwa, please, could you give a feedback, or maybe you can drop it at the chat box?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yes. So please use a minute to talk about.
Sorry, my network is a bit bad.
That's fine. You can start.
Okay. Hi. Hi, my name is Okwa, and I have 5 years experience in tech consulting and in the telecommunications sector in Nigeria. Now, when you think about public transportation in Nigeria, what readily comes to your mind?
Okwa, we cannot hear you clearly.
naira bit. If you benchmark that at 200 naira per bus fare, this computes to about 2.4 billion naira monthly and 29 billion naira annually. So my company, Let's Go, would provide public transportation and make it easy and convenient for commuters. We'll do this by providing a fleet of vehicles in top working conditions for commuters. Put in a different way, we'll offer commuters Uber-level comfort at a downfall level price. So our ask is for a seed of $200,000 to aid with our ideation phase. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Davidson, Mr. Davidson, could you quickly give a feedback? Probably in a minute,
Sorry.
a minute will be fine.
I actually missed half of what he said, and that's affected my ability to follow him till the end. I'm sorry.
Yes, so his network is a bit not strong today. So, all the same, just rate according to what you've what you're able to get, right?
I can go again if you don't mind.
Okay,
Please let him go again.
Okay, please quickly do that. We have only 8 minutes, and we have about 3 founders pitching.
Okay, so thank you. Let me go again. So I said when we think about public transportation in Nigeria, right? One word readily comes to our mind: inconvenience. Now, 12.3 million people in Lagos State alone commute daily with public transportation. If you benchmark this at 200 naira per bus fare, this is about 2.4 billion naira monthly and 25 billion naira annually as the revenue pots. Yet these guys don't still get good value for their money. So my company, Let's Go, will make public transportation easy and convenient. We will do this by providing a fleet of top working vehicles to our commuters. Put differently, we offer our commuters Uber level comfort at a downfall level price, all with the aid of technology. So our ask is for a seed of about $200,000 to get our ideation stage up and running. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you
so
much.
So, thank you, Okwa. Well, so you identified the problem, but even though your solution was that you will get a fleet of top working vehicles, to me that doesn't look using technology. So the technology would probably be what would stand you out, but you didn't explain what the technology is. I don't know how a fleet of top working vehicles using downfall level prices would actually make the transport situation in Lagos that is chaotic any better. So, so I don't see why I should give you $200,000, right? And how that is going to solve the problem, because people are buying cars every day. To me, that doesn't look like a very good solution. I will give 1.
Okay, thank you so much. Mrs. Ifeyinwa, please, could you rate at the chat box? Yes, so we are gradually coming to the end of the pitch. The next person is Nelly Ndaguba. Nelly, are you with us? Nelly, you Ndaguba. Okay. The next person is Joshua Nwamba.
This is Abdullah speaking. Nelly is not feeling too well.
Oh, okay. All right, so the next person is Joshua Nwamba. Joshua, could you unmute yourself and present in 1 minute? Okay, Henry Okori. Henry Okori, unmute yourself so that you pitch. Henry Okori. I'm not less Henry. That's Henry Okori. Could you unmute yourself so that you pitch quickly? Okay, that's fine. So we've come to the end of the pitch session, right? So the next session is presentation session. Yes, so we have Davidson Oturu will pitch and will do a short presentation today. So please, Davidson, could you quickly present in 10 minutes?
Okay, I will. Will you be sharing my slides, or will I be able to share my screen?
Yes, if you have a slide, you can share it with us. You can share the screen. Could you enable it so that we can? Yes, it's enabled. Okay, no, all participants can share. Yes. It's okay, no, it's fine. Yes, it's enabled already.
All right, let me.
Okay. All right.
Is my screen shared now?
No.
Do you have my slide with you?
Yes, I have it.
Maybe you could help me put it up, because I don't know why I seem not to be able to share my.
Okay. The slide. So if you, what we do is that we check this. We check the quality of your assignment and your pitch. If it is not satisfactory enough, we bring you to this session we'll bring you up in our next session to pitch. So if you did not pitch today, it means that you are still at the right track, right? But if we see any deficiency in your pitch or in your assignment, your name will appear in our next session. I'm still trying to get this, Davidson. Yeah. From there, why I try from here as well, Mr. Davidson.
Yeah. I really don't know why it's not coming up. Anyway, let me just get started. Maybe along the way we'll be able to share it.
Okay, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, so, well, there were a few questions that TNDBC shared for us to address. The first one was why it is important to have a legal entity. Of course, it goes without saying that having the legal entity gives you the opportunity to stand out and not just be regarded as an individual or someone who doesn't have structure behind what he's doing. So one of the first things that we identified was legal liability protection. So organizations that are registered, especially as limited liability companies, are separate legal entities from the shareholders. So in other words, you'll be able to get your shareholders, have your directors, and then the company is a person in law. So if the company wants to get a loan, for instance, from the bank, or wants to raise funding and all of that, it wouldn't just be you, the individual now, that will be regarded as seeking that funding. It will be the company. Then the liability of the company is limited. So in other words, if you are the shareholder in that company and the company takes a loan, defaults on the loan, generally the liability of the founder will be limited to what he has contributed as his share capital to that company. So if you have taken up shares to the extent of, say it's a 1 million naira share company, you take up shares of up to 250,000 naira, it would mean that where that company probably defaults in a loan of about 10 million naira or thereabouts, after the assets of the company has been sold off in order to satisfy that loan, your liability will be limited just to what you took out for that company. So of course, you also get to have a sort of reputation in terms of the company. If the company starts to do well, then that also comes into play. In terms of raising equity, which is always important for small businesses and startups, the investor typically takes up shares in the company. So the investor would be, in most cases, unwilling to give money directly to you, a founder without structure, because they wouldn't know whether you will take off with the money. But there's a presumption when there's a company and the investor can actually take up shares within that company and come into the company and assist in the running of the company in terms of giving advice and also in giving funds. So those are some of the issues that are important when it comes to having the legal entity. Of course, with my slides, it would have been easier to break that down, but I'm just trying to move along. The second question was, what are the best practices in setting up a legal entity? Of course, the very first thing you should be looking at is some types of agreement. Most important one is the shareholders agreement for the shareholders to execute. With the shareholders agreement, you're able to set out the rights and liabilities of each shareholder, and so typically nobody would overshoot their boundaries. You would have discussions around sharing of revenue, around dividends, issues around the extent of loans that the company can take, and when the board will meet, the kind of decisions it can go into, the kind of businesses that it can go into. The shareholders agreement can set that out. Of course, you would also be able to determine the role that the founders will play within the company. This is also something that has to be decided by the founders before they proceed. Of course, determining who will be your directors and shareholders, whether they would be the same persons or whether they will be different, is something that you also have to take into consideration when setting up a legal entity. You also have to you will get into the different phases of the business, when you could possibly scale and all of that. I had mentioned at the beginning the type of legal entity. It's also important here when you're thinking of best practices. So do you want to go with a partnership, with a limited liability partnership, for instance, or do you want to go with a private company limited by shares? That is also very important. And then what I would say is arguably the most important thing for you in terms of best practices in setting up a legal entity would be to get a good lawyer that will be able to advise you on what you need to do, because as smart and intelligent as a founder is, he cannot do everything by himself. Which brings us to the next question, which was, what should they look for when picking a law firm to work with? Some of the things that we identified is timeliness and excellent delivery. So you cannot really put a premium on excellent delivery and timeliness, really, because if the law firm is unable to respond in good time, and then what they give you is also shoddy work, it could affect you, especially when you're dealing with deadlines. Of course, the experience of the law firm also matters, particularly in areas that are relevant to the startup's business. Cost and billing. Well, so one of the reasons why we are undertaking this with the Founders Institute is, ideally, we don't typically charge an arm and a leg, but we do take some things into consideration. But for this situation, we have decided to do it on some kind of basically free arrangement type of thing. But it's important, regardless of whether you are getting something free, to determine what you would have probably paid for that sort of service. So cost and billing is also important when engaging a law firm. Availability of the law firm for the startups team is also important. So will they be available when you need them, or will they be tied up such that your work doesn't seem important? Compatibility, very important as well. How well do you gel with the lawyers? You know, are they standoffish? Are they able to relate to your situation? You know, do they exercise good judgment when it comes to your situations? When you reach out to them, are they thorough? Are they thoughtful? Do they help you through those processes? What are the key legal concepts that the founder needs to understand? Of course, first one is the need to have agreements that would practically document every type of relationship that they would have. So you need to have agreements that would, like I said earlier on, like the shareholders agreement. You can even have a founders agreement. If you are engaging consultants at any time, make sure that there's an agreement with them so that nothing is lost in translation. Always make sure that all the I's and T's are dotted and crossed. Also, the need to protect your legal rights. The next question was, what are the key agreements that they need to operate a technology company? We highlighted a few here: non-disclosure agreement. Of course, most times you'll be moving technology from yourself to a potential investor or different people along the way. It's important that you have a non-disclosure agreement that would protect you when you disclose your technology. Of course, we already mentioned shareholders agreement for the members of the company. Have an intellectual property assignment agreement in the event that there may be any IP rights that would be assigned from time to time. Software agreements, founders agreements, vesting agreement, invention assignment agreements, employee contract and offers, definitely, term sheets, service level agreements. Those are the different types of agreements you'll be looking at putting together. Next question, how do they identify and protect their IP rights? So we have highlighted the different types of IP rights that can exist. Some of us will know them already. You have your patent, copyright, trademarks, trade secrets, and designs. Now, these different IP rights protect different types of technology, as well as what you do. Of course, the patent, which is very important for those who come up with inventions, is it helps them to protect their invention so that nobody else can infringe on it. A patent lasts for 20 years anyway, in which case, after that 20 years, your technology can be released to the general public and anybody can get to use it. But for at least for those 20 years while it exists, you can pretty much maximize it. There's the copyright, which covers literary works and software, stuff along those lines. Trademark, which is your symbol and an identifier for anybody who's looking for your product. Trade secrets are, most times you see them come up as computer programs or formula. Some really notable trade secrets are like the Coca-Cola formula, which is a trade secret, the Google algorithm, which is a trade secret. So most times you just have them in documents. Very few people would know that that formula exists. Once it becomes public knowledge, then it loses its power and it's no longer a trade secret. So just imagine if everybody knew what goes into Coca-Cola, it would no longer be unique anymore. And that's how it works. Designs protect the aesthetics of the product. So I'll just wrap that up. If you have the mobile phone, you probably have the shape that makes an Apple phone or a Samsung phone look unique. So that once you see it, you know this is an Apple phone. That design in itself, that shape is what is regarded as a design most times. Now, how do they identify and protect their intellectual property? Of course, we mentioned here that the registered, their IP rights that are registrable. There are some IP rights like trade secrets that are not registrable. Copyright is not technically registrable. Once it is put in a fixed medium, it enjoys protection. Sorry? However, you can register it with the Copyright Commission so that you have a certificate of notification. But your patent, your trademarks, and your designs have to be registered in order for you to enjoy protection on them, even though you can still have unregistered trademarks anyway. Then ensure that your employees and consultants do not disclose your trade secrets. You use things like non-disclosure and confidentiality agreements to keep that in check. You can look up the case of Waymo against Uber, which Waymo is a subsidiary of Alphabet, that's the Google company, and see what happened in that case when trade secrets were disclosed. Uber had to settle for over $200 million for them to get out of that situation. How do they identify and protect their intellectual property rights? They can install robust data security systems, include terms of using their IP in a written license agreement. How do they manage regulations? Retain the services of a lawyer who can monitor regulation and assist in compliance. And I think the last question here is, how much does the law actually matter to their business? And what I said here is that the law is crucial to any business, because when you think about it, everything that a startup has to do would involve the law along the way. Looking for funds, you need to have an agreement. So, and an agreement, contracts, all of that, you need a lawyer to draft that for you, or else you could receive money and only God knows what could happen. So it may look as if the contracts are written in English language, it's pretty much clear, but you'll be amazed at the fine print that can show up there. Then you talk about general corporate compliance, there are reporting timelines you need with the tax office, with the Corporate Affairs Commission, and all of that. There are statutory filings that you have to do every year, or there'll be penalties along the way. You have to have certain meetings, board of directors meetings, so lawyers always have to prompt you. The law is already set out, so it prompts you along that way. There's data protection compliance now, so you can't just use people's data without following certain procedures as laid out by the GDPR and the NDPR. And to every law, there are sanctions. So even if you may not know about them, you're supposed to comply with them. Again, as there are numerous laws out there, it remains important that you have a lawyer that will be able to advise you through those processes. And yeah, so I think that brings me to the end of this. So thank you.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation. And we are looking forward to, there will be a question and answer series after this, so that they can ask you any question or how they can engage you in this process, right? So the next person is Ifeyinwa. Please, could you quickly present, do your presentation in 10 minutes? Yes.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, the voice is still a bit low, but no problem. You just continue. Let's see how it goes.
So, I don't know, can I share my slides?
Yes, you can share your slide. There is something we not do right or something. No.
So while we're waiting to come up, I'll just go straight to the point in answering the questions that have been raised. First of all, the first question is the importance of a legal structure to your business. As a startup, it's very key as a startup. The business structure that you choose for your business will make or mar your business. So the first 2 years of your business is really very crucial. Whichever structure you decide to use is going to help you, is going to affect the financial success of your business. In terms of the complexity of the business, in terms of operationality of your business, the structure which you eventually decide to use will affect it. Even in terms of raising capital, it it's important that you choose a structure that will attract investors to you and will also make it easier for you to raise funds from other parties. Another thing you need to look at is thinking about the legal structure of your business is a structure that shields you from duties and tax. In Nigeria, there are certain incentives for startups. And so depending on your line of business, particularly now the incentives for those in the ICT and e-commerce business. So there are incentives, and so the particular kind of structure you have which will help you to have access to those kinds of incentives. I've gone on to talk about the types of businesses you have, the sole proprietorship, there's a limited liability, there are the LLPs, and there are the LPs, and there are also other forms of business. But the one which should be more particular or peculiar to you, which would always advise, is always the limited liability company. And the first speaker had talked more about the importance of why you should have a legal entity, why you should have a limited liability company. So we just call it legal entity. And most of you are, the more common type of businesses you find is a sole proprietorship, which we all know as the business name, and then the limited liability company. We'd always encourage people to go for the limited liability company because that as a business is a legal entity. The sole proprietor, the business name, it's more of the liability is to you directly. But when you're talking about the limited liability, you're a sole entity. The company is different from you as an individual. And so why it's important to have the first thing is perpetual succession. Even without you, the company will exist. So your company can go on as long as, even without the founders of the business, even after the founders are out of the business, the business will still go on. Another reason why it's important to have a legal entity is the fact that the legal and corporate personality differs from the owner. I've already mentioned that you are separate from the business. And the advantage there is that as a company, I can choose to go to borrow money from the bank. And so the liability there is when the bank chooses to come back for this funds, the liability is to the company and not to you as an individual, or not to the directors of the company as individuals. The only time where the directors will be held liable for the company's debt is where the directors and maybe where they give a personal guarantee to the bank. If you give a personal guarantee as a director of the company, then you as a director will be liable. But you don't give a personal guarantee. It's the company itself that will be liable. So it's important to know the difference. Another thing about the limited liability company is that you can sue and be sued in the name of the company and not just in the name of the director or the founder of the company. For business names, it's the sole proprietor, it's the founder himself. The business is sued in the name of the proprietor itself. But unlike the limited liability company, you sue in the name of the company and not your name as a director. I already mentioned the potential tax benefits for you as a limited liability company. It gives you more credibility as a business and ensures confidence from third parties. It allows for funding, so you're able to get money from investors because people rather deal with the company than deal with individuals directly. Another key thing for startups, particularly for startups who have limited funding, those in the tech industry, you probably will require really very high-skilled workers to work for you, and then you may not have money to pay them at that time. So there are things you could do. You can actually offer equity in the business to your employees as in return for salaries, so that in the long run, as the business goes, you could pay them from equity in the business, and in that way, the employees are sure that I have a stake in this business, and indeed they are all in the business. And I went on to, I'm not just going to go to, because there's a very short time, talk about how to register, that's not necessary. And also talked about the best practices in setting up a legal entity. It's what you have to have your incorporation documents ready, making sure that objects of your business is not illegal or against public policies, ensuring that none of your directors of the business are fraudulent or are not of sound mind. There are requirements from the Company and Allied Matters Act for what directors should be. Another point you should note before setting up a legal entity, which should be that in terms of registration, the name of the legal entity should not conflict with an existing one, because if it does, you'll not be able to get that name. So we need to be sure in registering a name. That is where the lawyer comes in, when the availability is being done, to ensure that that name is available. I'm sure everyone must have heard about the new Company and Allied Matters Act, which the president just presented. There are certain things there which will affect you, because previously we find that you had to have a minimum of two. You had to have a minimum of 2 shareholders and 2 directors. But now, with the new changes to common, you can now operate a company with just only 1 shareholder, and you need not have a secretary. Previously, you needed to have a secretary. Previously, there had to be a minimum share capital of 10,000 for private companies, but now there's no what you just have right now in the new CAMA. It's just the minimum issue share capital. Also, under the new Company and Allied Matters Act, meetings are not, you could actually have e-meetings that you don't have to actually meet physically. You can now have e-meetings. So these are the 2 things that will come into place when you're talking about your company. The next thing we'll be talking about is the IP strategy. Like, as a startup, one key thing for you startup, for the founders right now, is the essence of your business is to bring innovation. We're trying to do something different from what has been done. We're trying to bring solutions to a problem that's already existing. And in bringing this solution, you're putting your time and your energy into creating ideas. So you need to protect these ideas, and that is where intellectual property comes in. If you don't protect this idea, there's a risk that the third party will steal your idea and gain from it. So all the efforts you put in, you will not reap from it. And that's where intellectual property comes in, because it tries to help you protect whatever invention, your trademark, your patent, whatever you work hard to build on. Intellectual property will help you protect it. Like here, I've talked about the importance of IP. It helps to add value to your business. It also helps to attract investment, because if you have a good IP portfolio, it's a good attraction to third parties to come in to invest. As mentioned earlier, there are different types of intellectual property depending on what you're doing. For inventions can be protected through patents. For trademark is you're protecting your brand name, your logos, copyrights for works of authorship, computer data, your apps. All your apps will be protected under copyright. Your video games, music, works of art, they're all protected under copyright. Another type of protection which you also have is also the design. Because of time, I wouldn't want to go into everything, but as already mentioned, patent will protect your invention. The trademark helps you identify your goods and services. It's more like an identifier. It separates you from whatever other people are doing. So once you trademark your logo, your brand name, it stands you out from every other person in the crowd. And your trademark particularly is important that you know that your trademark is a business asset to you. And the trademark of your business will appreciate over time. So it's important that you protect it. And how do you protect it? You protect it by registering. The same thing with the design. Industrial design is the household product, toys, furniture. Every of those things can be protected by registering them. The essence of the registration is that once you register the intellectual property, it gives you the right to exclude third parties from using it without your consent. Once it's registered, where a third party uses it, they must get your consent, and if they don't have your consent, you can take them to court. So that's the importance of registering intellectual property. Another intellectual property which is very key to technology business is trade secrets. Trade secret generally is not registrable. That is not registrable. The only way you can protect your trade secret will be, in most cases, entering agreements with the other parties. So for trade secrets, you protect highly confidential information that are important to your business. particularly for those in technology and sector, the soft code, your formulas, you could protect them from true trade secrets. And how do you do this? By signing a non-disclosure agreement, which whichever party you're entering such discussions with. But you need to note, in most cases, this protection is only limited to those parties that are signing the agreement. The next key thing to note is that important agreements to start off, there's non-disclosure agreement, which is very key to your business. There's the assignment of IP rights. So for most times, most of these agreements, most people don't have the assignment of IP rights separately. Most times you find that as a clause in all agreements, or you could choose to have a separate agreement, or it depends. There's also the co-founders agreement, entering into a co-founders in the business, and the commercial lease agreement. This is where you probably want to be using the property. There's a shareholders agreement for shareholders who are starting the business. There's also the term sheet. There's a software development agreement. For the slide, I just talked about the key clauses you should look out for in contracts. Even though definitely you will be getting a lawyer to review your contract, but there are just key clauses you should always just look out for in most of your agreements. There's a conservation clause. That the warranty clause, you need to be sure whatever warranties you're giving any third party in your agreement, you need to be sure that those warranties are warranties that you can meet. And where it's not something you're providing directly or another party is providing, you need to be sure that that party can provide it. You need to look out for the termination clauses in most of your agreements. It's important to look at it. Adding material, you need to look out for the cure period for termination. You need to look at things that will trigger termination of agreement. You need to be sure of the force majeure clause. It's important. The force majeure clause in all agreements, it's a very important clause. I can't go into details now, but what the force majeure clause does is to protect you from events that are beyond your control. There are strikes, there are riots that happen, and you're not able to meet obligations in the contract, and that's where the force majeure clause comes in. So it's important that you should look out for these in the agreement. The dispute resolution clause is also important. It's a key clause in your agreement. You need to look at the time frame, you need to look at the cost, and you need to look at the location and particularly the law that will be applicable in resolving disputes in the party. Another key thing you need to look out for is when you're choosing a law firm. You need to look out for firms that will give you tailor-made solutions to your legal challenges. Every business has it's structured in a different way, it's innovative. So you need to be looking out for a firm that will meet your legal challenges. You need to look at firms that have experience and expertise in their field of practice. Prompt and professional delivery, prompt legal services, very key. You need to look out for firms that meet your needs promptly and deliver it in a professional manner. You also need to look out for firms that are committed to the quality of your business. This is very key. You can't underestimate that. You need to look out for pocket-friendly rates. You need to look out for value-added services and accountability. It's important. The location too of the law firm is also important. Most people want to do with law firms that actually close to where they are. The next question should be, how important is the law to your business? It's something that we can't overemphasize. Businesses generally work within the restrictions of law and regulations. You can't start a business without complying to the law and regulations surrounding any business, depending on the line of business or the line of business you are in. You need to understand the law guiding business and that business. And where you do not comply, for most cases, there are always penalties. Generally, there are different laws, but the laws which are really peculiar, particularly in terms of taxes. You need to understand the taxes that are applicable to your business. There are also laws guiding labor relations. You need to be sure that you're working in line, particularly for the employees, you're working in line with the regulations that or the laws that have been set by the government. In terms of taxes, which is very key. Change in taxes, change in law will always affect your business. So you need to understand the tax regulations affecting your business. It's something you cannot avoid. The tax that will affect your business, because once there's an increase in tax, automatically it affects your business. It affects the bottom line of your business and may affect it adversely. So it's file for it. And so I know that you cannot, because in different locations, you cannot know all the laws, you cannot know all the regulations. And that's why it's important that you engage the services of a legal practitioner. That's where they come in. Depending on your line of business.
Hello, thank you so much. We have very limited time for this, and we'll have a question and answer series after this. So you will explain in details to them as soon as we are through, right? So thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. The catch is you cannot know about the law always. It's very important to engage a lawyer or a law firm that will help you go through this process. Thank you so much for that presentation. And please, you can share the slide with us so that we can share with these founders, right? Is that fine?
Yes, I said I'll email it to you right now.
Okay. Thank you so much. So let's quickly go to the next session. The next session is 30 minutes, right? So please, founders, there are some key deliverables you need to go through this week. The first thing is that you need to finalize a law firm that you want to work with, right? To begin your incorporation, right? You also need to upload the law firm's details, right? Maybe you can upload the phone number, you upload the email address, you upload the website, the web URL, and all other details that may be necessary. Okay, so this is the next session now where you ask any question that you may have. The experts are here to answer your questions. And please, our mentors, please share your details, a phone number, a URL, and an email address they can use to reach out to you for further discussion on how to start their legal structuring and incorporation. Okay? So, founders, it's over to you now. Please ask any question that you may have. We have Davidson in the house. We also have Ifeyinwa in the house from Aelex and from Benchmac.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. My question goes to Ifeyinwa. I just want to find out how well spread are you, as in your locations?
So we have an office in Lagos and in Abuja.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why we have offices. But in different states of the organization, if we have to meet the needs of clients, we actually have lawyers in different states that can help us and carry out legal services. But where we have offices where you can walk into and meet any lawyer in Lagos and in Abuja. But it doesn't restrict us from providing services in any state in Nigeria or in Africa as well.
Okay, good. And please, yes, so you can, so the task is to start your incorporation with either this Aelex or Benchmark, or if you have an existing law firm you are working with, that is fine, right? So please go ahead with your question.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have a question with the Ifeyinwa that I have to understand what is the stake which FI is taking from the founder through this pool creation, because that is something which I have not been able to understand till now. So maybe in a nutshell, if you can tell me, it will be good. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Okay, let me quickly. I think I can answer this, right? Student.
Yeah.
So Founder Institute is taking 4%, right? 4%. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, 4% is a bonus pool. So the directors will share from the bonus pool. All the graduates from this cohort will also share from this cohort bonus pool. The mentors will do the same, and that's it. So it's a 15 years, it's more like a warrant, 50 years warrant. And we can, hello? Yes, so we take this when your company goes public, or if there is any major event, that's when we take this 4%. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, you are welcome. No, don't. It's not. She wants to ask a question. Emilia, do you have a question?
Yes, I want to ask a question, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I have a question, please.
Okay, please go on.
Hello.
Hello, can I ask my own question?
Yes, please go on. You can ask.
So, regards the incorporation, are we going to be built by these law firms at every point in time, or how are we going to be built? How are we going to be built by the law firms?
Okay, so who are you directing this? Who are you directing this question to?
Yeah, I'm directing it to any one of them because it's basically Aelex and Benchmac. I'm going with Aelex, I guess.
Okay, please, Davidson, could you throw more light on this?
Okay, yeah, so the arrangement that we have is with the Founders Institute, and I believe they're supposed to share it with the founders. But what we're looking at is an arrangement where there is a suite of services we will provide. I mean, issues around incorporation of the company, around trademarks registration, reviewing certain agreements, and stuff like that fall under those suite of services. So perhaps we will share that with Tundu BC, and then he can discuss it with the founders, and he can decide if they would want to proceed with us along those lines. But we typically have some services that we know are very crucial and critical to startups that we have lumped in some kind of basket so that you could just take out of those services. So we'll share that within the BC, and then you can discuss it with you guys.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I have a question, please.
Yes, please go on.
Okay, just a brief background. So I have a co-founder which has certain shares in the company, but she left the company beginning of this year. How do I go about vesting our shares? So my question is to Davidson, please.
Oh, okay, so I presume when you say she left, did she surrender her shares, or what did she do with her shares when she left?
So we've not had that conversation yet.
Okay, I mean, so the way that it would work would be that if you want to, she could surrender her shares back to the company or forfeit them. If she paid money for those shares, then you guys would need to discuss on how she would be refunded money. Of course, which is why things like shareholders agreement are actually important, because they provide for things like exiting and all of that. But in the absence of that, you would need to have a sit down with her and then decide on what she will be looking at in terms of her exit. It's possible that maybe if you have a woman share capital, she subscribed to 500,000, it would be a case of if she hasn't even paid for those shares, then it sort of makes it easier. But then again, because she's still a part owner and you can arguably not proceed without her, so you would need to have a sit down around how she would exit the company in terms of her shareholding. So you can't just take it by force from her, right? You know, you guys need to agree on how that will be resolved, basically.
All right, thank
Hello.
you.
Hello, can I ask my question, please?
Yes, please ask.
Yes. My question is to, I'm sure that Mr. Chris can clarify. We are incorporating our companies under the Nigerian law. And I'm reading now from the FI agreement that in cases of dispute, that is going to be treated under the Delaware court. I don't know how you want to reconcile that so that we are, clear.
Okay, so the first thing we do is, if all agreements we are having is in line with the local regulations, right? So if there is a dispute, it will be resolved here in Nigeria, okay? Unless you want to pull out, unless you want to pull out of the agreement that we have with you, probably we'll now have to involve the Delaware and the Nigerian regulations to see how we can balance that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you are welcome. Okay, yes, Bridget, please ask your question. If you have a question, please, could you raise your hand? Bridget, could you quickly ask your question so that we...
Mentors and directors, thank you for your guidance. So my question is around funding. So many of the accelerators that fund will always require the startup to be registered maybe in their local area where they operate. So they do recruit people from other parts of the world, but they want the solution to be delivered at that local place. So how do we go about solving that problem when we are registering? We need to register as a Nigerian company, but that can do business in another geographical area. Thank you.
Okay, our mentors, is there something you can talk about concerning this?
So, get more clarification what you're trying to say. You wanted to confirm if you need to start in Nigeria and then do business outside. Is that what you want to confirm?
I can barely hear you.
I think what she was trying to say, which I myself was also trying to understand, Bridget, are you saying you want a company that will be registered in Nigeria but can do business outside Nigeria? Is that what you're asking? Or what's your question?
Yes, so that's what I'm asking. Registered in Nigeria but can do business outside Nigeria. For instance, once it's out there on the internet, anybody from anywhere can use that service. But however, there are certain regulations that one has to meet for maybe those geographical areas. So I'll give an example. So the solution I'm building can be offered in the US as long as I meet their requirements. So that's so how do I go about a company like that?
Well, so maybe we'll take it offline later, but if I understand you well, you want to have a company that can interact with other companies in different parts of the world. Your concern is that there may be regulations in some jurisdictions that will prevent your company from being able to transact there. Now, those kind of things can be met in different ways, one of which is to basically find out, okay, for each jurisdiction, where you want to carry out business. What are the extant regulations that exist there? Find out if your company, your Nigerian company, can transact there. Because like we said during our presentations, a company is a person. So just the same way that you as a person can transact outside Nigeria, that is how your Nigerian company can transact as well. But we do understand that different countries would have their requirements and regulations. Find out what they are. If it will be possible for you to use the Nigerian company to still carry out that business, then you can do so. But if it is not, then find out if you can, some countries consider branches, so you can set up a branch, or you can even incorporate in some of those jurisdictions. Now, one of the reasons why people look at Delaware as a good place to set up a company is because it's cheap and it's easy. So you could just set up a Delaware company that would still have your Nigerian company as a majority shareholder. And the Delaware company would basically be able to trade on your behalf with respect to a few things. And everybody would know that technically it's a subsidiary of your Nigerian company or a related company, So you can be a shareholder of the Delaware, your Nigerian company can be a shareholder of the Delaware, and they'll be regarded as related companies. And then you can do pretty much what you want. If I think that is the question that you're asking, then there are definitely ways around that just to set up legal entities and find out what the regulations are all around the place.
That's exactly what I was asking.
Ah, okay. So, I hope I've answered you, though.
Hello, sorry, I would like to add some things. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my name is Izu Chinedu from Benchmac and Ince. So in addition to what Mr. Davidson said with regards to a company, a Nigerian company carrying on business in another jurisdiction or in another country, for instance, a foreign company coming to Nigeria, for instance, to transact, there are several requirements such as the company needs to be registered with CAC, NIPC, and the rest. So I believe it's also the same way for some countries, like you need to meet up with certain requirements before you carry on business there. And again, just like Mr. Davidson also stated, a company is a separate entity from the owners, from the directors and the shareholders. So also take, for instance, you want to travel to another country, you need a visa to enter there. So that same way for a Nigerian company to go into business in another country altogether, you need some, let me just say visa, but it could be in form of requirements and registration. So that's just what I wanted to add.
Yes, thank you so much. Is there any other question that do you have any other question? Okay. Founders, if you have questions, please, these are our experts, so you need to ask them so that they will clear the way, right? Okay. I think I assume there's no other question, right? So this is the end of today's session. This is today's, yes.
I have a question, please.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me? I have a question.
Yes, please ask.
So
okay, it's about the bonus.
Well,
okay, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I could ask.
Okay, so my question about the bonus pool was, I know I got the mail about we have a deadline to set up the companies and to also sign the warrants and all that. I wanted to ask, if you don't want to participate in the bonus pool, can you still participate in the cohort, or without participation in the bonus pool, you have to drop out of the cohort?
Yes, so the way it works is for you to participate in the bonus pool, you must incorporate your at the end of these 14 weeks, you should have a company that is incorporated with the right legal structure. If you did not incorporate your company, then you wouldn't be part of the bonus pool. So that's it. But if you incorporate your company and you don't want to participate in the bonus pool, that is still very fine, right?
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Okay, so My question is regarding the patent. So in software terms, I wanted to ask, so what is patentable and what is not in regards to software? Yes, but it's a bit low.
Okay, so I think generally in Nigeria, you find that
Hello?
can you hear me? Software. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Software generally most times are actually registered copyright.
Okay.
Well, even though in recent times there have been arguments about issues on registering computer apps, some people argue that what should be copyrighted should be just the software code, and that maybe the process in arriving at that should be patented. But for now, most times the best protection would always be copyright protection for software for apps in Nigeria right now. I don't know if Mr. Davidson has a different.
I'm having trouble hearing you clearly.
Okay, yes. So please, Ifeyinwa, please, could you drop that at the chat box? Mr. Davidson and if Mr. Davidson and Ifeyinwa can throw more light on this.
No, yes. So I think she basically said it, even though she seems not to be clear. Software, in terms of what is patentable, sometimes it's very arguable, and the patent registry in themselves do not most times register what they consider as computer programs, codes, and all that, because part of the reason for that is they don't even carry out examinations. So most times there's a patent application that sets out how the whole invention will work, but the registry doesn't do all that in terms of examining. So it's very difficult for them to even come up with what to do. So once they just see it, most times they will just say, you know what, we wouldn't register this. But it enjoys protection as the copyright in any event. Once it is written out and explained in a fixed medium, say in writing and all of that, then it qualifies as a literary work, which is registrable as a computer program or software under copyright. So you have good enough protection as it is. What we do sometimes is we present both, so we can still take it to the patent registry when we have set it out in the patent application so that it's clear enough, and then we see if the registry would allow us to register it as a patent. But how it would be set out for a copyright will be different, but it will still have similar details. And then sometimes if we're able to convince the patent registry, they agree to allow us to register as a patent, which is rare, but then we just have it as a copyright, because copyright, once you write it, that's protected. Again, like I had said earlier, you could take it to the copyright commission, and then they register it there and give you a certificate of notification, which you can always present to show the day that you came up with the whole literary work and have priority over somebody else who has that. I'm using this as an example because actually I have a case that I did where our client had a patent for some kind of software, but somebody else had it registered as a copyright. Same idea, so to speak, but different ways that were registered. We won as a patent anyway, but it was arguable as to whether it could be registered. But in other jurisdictions, you were able to register it as a patent, particularly in the US anyway, most jurisdictions.
Thank you so much. We have Izuchukwu with us. Izuchukwu from Benchmac Inc. Izuchukwu, is there anything you would want to say about this, about the patent?
Okay. Please hold on.
Okay.
All right. What I wanted to just add some articles or some materials that can be patented. That's some patentable materials. You know, it's not every items, it's not every inventions can be patented. I just wanted to use this opportunity to briefly let them know the things that can form part of patent or the things that can be patented. First of all, the invention must be new. It must also have an inventive steps that is not obvious to someone else. And it must also be capable of being made or used in some kind of scientific or mathematical discovery. Then it must not be against public policy or morality. These are like a few things you have to have in mind before you patent any invention. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
I have another question.
Okay.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
The question asked earlier on regards working in other countries. So I was asking, we are working on softwares as a service, and we basically take people's data in one way or the other. Are there protections or how we can? Is it that is it Aelex or Benchmac and Ince? Are we only working with you guys inside Nigeria, or when we have other challenges like that, they also go outside this jurisdiction and work with us? Sorry, I don't know if my question is clear.
If you come again, please.
Okay, so I said we are working on a software as a service. You know, basically we can maybe their private information, which is basically like Nigeria have their own data privacy law, and maybe the US have their own privacy law. So are there any backends that you guys provide in terms of supporting this, supporting us as a business, or is it just those terms that you give us in the terms of agreements that we are going to use? Is it clear now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. So let me just quickly do this. Put some points here. So what we do is we support you locally, right? But if you have any other issue that we may not be able to handle locally, right? We involve our lawyers from Silicon Valley, right?
I have a question.
No, I mean not only US. Maybe you have other clients in other countries that you kind of get their own data, their own privacy. Maybe their country have their own privacy protection laws and stuff like that. So are we also backed by these law firms, or we are on our own?
You need to, any country you're expanding to, you need to also understand their terms and maybe privacy laws, right? So that, for example, GDPR, as they spoke about, I think someone discussed about GDPR or something. So it's important to, anywhere you're expanding to understand the regulations that guides such region, right? But all the same, is there someone our mentor, could you please throw more light on this?
Yes, so it took me a while to get what Alamin was saying, but of course, since he operates a software as a service platform, so he deals with cloud computing, and is the kind of thing that would probably traverse different jurisdictions. So the major data protection laws we have now is GDPR, which covers the whole of Europe, and the NDPR. Fortunately for us, the NDPR is almost a rip-off of the GDPR. So in terms of data protection matters, when you comply with the NDPR, you're in most cases complying with the GDPR. But what we do for our clients sometimes is because there are some things that are highlighted under the GDPR that is not under the NDPR. And we know that for e-commerce platforms and fintechs who have customers that are outside Nigeria, the GDPR would be what they would be having to deal with when they're dealing with outside Nigeria. So we ensure that there are platforms, there are public notices, and all other things that go along with the use and processing of data for both the GDPR and the NDPR is complied with. For places like Asia and the United States, of course, in the US, you probably have different states having different data privacy laws. So it's pretty much difficult dealing with those individual ones. But trust me when I say that once you've complied with the GDPR, then there's hardly any privacy law that you would be dealing with that wouldn't fall under that. More so, there are some principles that are looked at when it comes to data protection and data privacy. And those principles and rights are basically what are contained in the NDPR and the GDPR. So we really don't have those issues in terms of looking at each state worldwide to be sure that each one complies. Because once you've complied with those principles, then you have fit into that jurisdiction. But then again, if there's any state that anybody's unsure of, we could always look at what their laws provide for there and advise accordingly. So,
thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Arishikola. I'm directing my question to Mr. Davidson. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So, Mr. Davidson, in your presentation, you highlighted a whole lot of documents and agreements that we need as a startup. So now, for complying with the recommendations of Founder Institute as incorporating or having a corporate entity, can you just tell us the standard recommendations, that is the standard requirements in terms of the agreements that are required of us to have, that we can now call, okay, I have this agreements, like 4 or 5 agreements, and I can call this a corporate. I can now say my company is a corporate entity. I'm asking this question so that definitely we'll be having private sessions with you guys in the coming weeks, and we will need this to prepare so that we can guide our discussions in our private sessions with you. So I just want to know, what are those documents or those agreements that we can call, okay, I have 4 or 5 agreements and I can say, yes, I have a corporate entity for my business.
Okay, thank you, Tarishokola. So basically, once you've registered your company, then you have a corporate entity, right? So that's what you need. Some of the agreements that are highlighted are the agreements that, trust me, some startups may not even need them probably till somewhere along the line. But of course, things like very important. I mean, even Ifeyinwa mentioned it as well. Your shareholders agreement is probably like your foundational document. Before you even get to the shareholders agreement, it's usually advisable, while you and your founders are still discussing around a few things, to probably have something like a memorandum of understanding, just so that parties are clear about what they want to be able to do. Now, the thing that with a memorandum of understanding, which is an MOU, is that it is basically a gentleman's agreement. It's an agreement to agree. So it sometimes is not really binding. Generally, it's not binding, except if you guys sort of put in clauses there that imply that you intend for it to be binding. So you could call it a partnership agreement for want of something, but just an agreement before you even set up the company that sets out what each party's expectations are. Reason why it's important to do this before you even incorporate your company is that you could end up incorporating the company, and then one of the founders says, no, now, but I thought I was entitled to this. I don't want to, I thought, so then there's confusion. Somebody did raise the fact that one of the founders has left now and doesn't know what to do. So if you have those kind of things all set out, saying what will happen when one person leaves, saying maybe for the first 5 years, nobody pulls a salary, just stuff like that, that makes it easy for everybody to agree before you proceed to incorporate. Then you have your shareholders agreement. You could have things like your vesting agreement. If you have technology, for instance, you could have agreements around ownership of technology, licensing agreements, because if you own the technology, it could be your intention for that technology to be yours as opposed to that of the business. So you could even say, okay, I will license this technology to the company for a period of time, so that you're still the one who owns the intellectual property rights and not you and the company. So sometimes those are the major agreements you'll be looking at that time of formation. Later, as you go on, you can now start looking at other service level agreements. But I think these are the things that need to be trashed out.
Always look at some by contact. You don't want to drop out of university because you get it. You're going to drink Gary.
Ablakim, mute yourself.
Yep. So, how that's clear, Tarisha.
Yeah, it was clear up to the conclusion part when Abdul Hakim also. Yeah. So just the concluding part is what I didn't get.
Yeah. So like I said, your MOU or your partnership agreement, your shareholders agreement, licensing agreements where you have any technology that you want to basically license to the organization, software agreements. There can be vesting agreements as well, share subscription agreements where you're bringing in the investors into the business. These are some of your general agreements. Are those formative stages?
Okay. That's clear now. I guess we'll have more conversations where we have our private sessions. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Is there any other question? Okay. Yeah, that's great. So thank you so much. We've come to the end of today's session, right? So thank you, Mr. Davidson. Thank you, Ifeyinwa. Thank you, Izuchukwu, and all our amazing founders. You are doing an amazing work, right? But as you already know, Founder Institute is a very tough one, and it's very important you do your assignments. And you should also know that the deadline for incorporation is coming, I think, 25th or so. So it's very important that you go ahead, choose a law firm that you want to work with to incorporate your business. If you already have a law firm, it's no problem. You can just share the details with us. If you don't have any, please make a decision, get their contact details, upload all the law firm details to our platform, and do all the documentations. And yes, we are progressing, and we are almost there. So well done, and thank you so much for attending today. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Yes. Okay.